4.
Hello. As humans, we tend to think of ourselves as being separate from the environment. Everything else is something else. But the environment contains everything. Other people are our environment. So everything in the environment includes us. Each individual is part of the environment. We are linked to the rest of the world inextricably, because if you were taken off the world, you would cease to exist in a very short amount of time. We are a part of the environment, and as such we are a process. Alan Watts used to say, we are not a human being, we are a human doing, because we are doing, we are a process. The process is breathing, eating, drinking, defecating, interacting, sweating, all sorts of things make up the process. Eating and drinking and breathing are the three main areas that we take environmental toxins into the body. Another way is through washing, or as some females like to do, smearing all sorts of alien creams all over themselves. Put lots of stuff, so they like to do that. They like to cover themselves up in alien creams. They are taking stuff from their environment and pushing it into their body. We push in, we eat, we drink, and we breathe a lot. And every time we do that, we are taking in some form of toxin, because the environment is full of toxins. Stuff comes in, stuff goes out. And sunscreen, that is the worst thing. Sunscreen's the worst thing, because most of them have cancer-causing properties in them. You have to get a really good sunscreen, a really special one that doesn't have any cancer-causing properties. Another way, which is less often the case, is to actually have a toxin injected to you. They're very big at the moment, this is autumn, and they're very big on injecting people with some kind of flu virus that has been screened, or I don't know what they do to it, I don't know what they put in it. Monkey's brains, I believe, that if you read up on the internet. Could be anything. Another way of getting toxins in the body is to have a tattoo. Now, I've got a dear friend who has had an awesome tattoo on the arm, but it got infected. So what do you do if you get infected? What do you do if you've got toxins in the body and you need to get them out? As you know, I'm all about prevention. I would rather prevent problems occurring than actually have to fight against them. If you have been poisoned by some external source, let's just say, for example, a tattoo that has had a little bit of a problem with it, maybe the ink, maybe the needle, something somewhere is dirty. It's got to be one of those two things. Maybe the skin has not been cleaned properly before the work began. Let's just say that's happened and you've had to go on to antibiotics. Now, antibiotics will kill off all the bacteria in your body, the good stuff that keeps you alive, the good stuff that is the 90% of your immune system, and the bad stuff. Everything will be killed off. So how do you replace that? Well, in issue 1 we talked about kefir. Brilliant stuff. But kefir is one thing. There's also kimchi, which is a Korean pickly type of, well, I love it anyway. Kimchi, I love it. It's great. I'm making some now. And another thing is sauerkraut, which is very simple to make, and I shall show you how. What I would say, if you are on antibiotics for any reason, try and not eat for the last day of your antibiotic treatment. Don't eat anything, especially nothing with sugar in it or anything that's going to turn to sugar, because the bad bacteria will feed on that and proliferate, and they won't let anybody else in. It's like the neighbourhood is being filled with Daleks and they just won't let anybody else in. Not eat for a day, or even better, not eat for 3 days, and then when you do start to eat, have some good fats like avocado or some nuts, but cheese, butter, things like that, some good fats. But the best thing to have is prebiotics, and that is things like dandelion greens, yeah, the stuff that grows in your grass that you try to get rid of every summer. Eat the greens off of that, and kale, cabbage, broccoli, any of the green vegetables, they are prebiotics because the fibre in them is what your gut bacteria actually feeds on. You don't break down fibre in your gut bacteria breaks it down, and they love it. They really thrive on it. And the good bacteria, the ones that you want to keep in there, will thrive on that. The bad bacteria, they prefer sugar. So if you're eating pasta, wheat, pizza, any processed foods, there'll be sugar in it somewhere, and any carbohydrates will turn to sugar in the body, and the bad bacteria love it. They go for it and they proliferate, and then you start to feel a bit sluggish, you start to feel a bit ill, and basically the bad bacteria have taken over and are not kept in check by the good gut bacteria. The good guys don't really get a look in. You get ill again, you have to go on another course of antibiotics, and it's a never-ending circle. So kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, a good live yogurt, or even you can get probiotics in capsule form, but you have to get enteric coated ones because they will then go through the stomach into your digestive system. The stomach is only the beginning. You've got to get these things into your intestines. The stomach will have its own bacteria. Intestines has a different set of bacteria altogether. Large intestine, small intestine, colon, different bacteria, different environments altogether. So look into those things. That's what you need to do if you've been on antibiotics. Take whatever cabbage you like. This is just a pointed cabbage. I always discard the outer leaves, even on organic, and then just chop it up. Chop it right up as fine as you like. If you've got one of those newfangled chopping machines, better to use that, because this can be, well, it can be a bit messy. But anyway, you want it as fine as you can get it. Keep a couple of bits like this, because they'll make wedges to put on the top. Now all you need is, it's just a juicer. This one's really old. You don't need anything special. I'm using a couple of large sprigs of celery, I don't know what you call them, and a mason jar, or a kilner jar, whatever country you come from. It's just got a nice little seal around the top there, and that'll come in very useful later on when this starts to ferment, and it will start to ferment. Chop the end off. You can even save those bits, and this is what you want. You shove them in here like this. If you do run out of this, you can use distilled water. I wouldn't use water straight from the tap because that has chlorine in it and it will kill off any bacteria that you are trying to create. So just shove that in there. That'll hold the majority of it under the water. Build up a little piece on top. And then when you close that down, when you close that down, that holds it in place. Leave that for about 10 days. By that time it will have stopped bubbling, and that's all you have to do. It's so simple and absolutely delicious. I suggest leaving it on a plate or a dish, something a bit bigger, because if you've got it filled up to there, it will bubble and bubble, and the liquid will rise and come out through the top. That's what the rubber seal is for. It lets out the air pressure. Now that won't start fermenting for a couple of days. Keep it at room temperature, don't let it get cold, don't let it get too warm. And you should have live probiotics that you can eat with any meal, except maybe soup. When I bought my celery, I didn't buy enough. And so I thought, I can just go outside into the garden and pick some that I'd be growing. But you need a lot of water for growing celery, and we've had a very hot summer last year. Although it's winter now, it's all, well, not very good. There's slugs in it, some of it's rotted away. The leaves look great, but it's the stalks we want because that's where the salts are. So what I can do now is add some water with some salt, because that does exactly the same thing.